And welcome everybody to another episode of Fins Nation. I am your host Louis Sung, and I am joined by my good friend Manny Chang, the Five Reasons Sports producer, and also a lifelong Eagles fan. So we're going to be going behind enemy lines once again as the Miami Dolphins get ready to face the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to learn a lot about our next up opponents. Sir, how are you?
Good evening, Lewis. How are you, my friend? Well, since I am the Eagles fan here, I'm still trying to get through what happened on Sunday. It's it's not easy when you have Jet fans in your mentions and in your DM saying that Zach Wilson beat you when like, in reality spoken, I don't think Zach Wilson beat the Eagles. I feel like the Eagles beat themselves more than anything. But just trying to get there. I mean, listen, that team is in your division. You know the fan base. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that you, as a Dolphin fan, you you've had your fun when it comes to these like with these specific Jet fans that come out of nowhere and start just talking to you on social media, and you're like, "Where have you been all year?
Yeah,
Like, what's going on
Jets
here?"
fans don't have a lot of smack to talk right now. Like they lost their star quarterback, although apparently I did not realize this, but apparently Dolphins having sex is a very therapeutic thing because Aaron Rodgers is up and running, walking around already. I did not I did not know that was the key to long life.
I didn't realize that by Zach watching Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines and seeing him go through his rehab gave him such inspiration to just score 12 points in a football game. But
I know, right? It's like, man, I gotta step it up. I'm gonna have to score like more than 10.
yeah,
But anyway,
4 field goals and 4 red zone trips. You tell me who beat themselves.
yeah.
All right, my friend, let's get to this matchup.
Yeah,
What's in
yeah,
there?
we got Dolphins and we got Eagles, and we're gonna get into all that. But before that, really quick, want to mention, as always, this show is brought to you by our good friends over at PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues. Whether that's the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, one of each, it's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday promos, and of course, as you are listening to this, it is now Flex Friday, which means that you can either get your money back if you lose or multiply the amount of money you can normally win. So with offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you are any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, it's promo code 5, FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you 100 of their dollars for you to play with and get started winning today. All right, Manny. So the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, they are now sitting at 5-1 as well. Their first loss of the season, as you mentioned, came bizarrely at the hands of the New York Jets, or as you put it, the Eagles beat themselves, and the Jets just happened to be the guys they were playing just by coincidence. Either way you put it, now the Dolphins and the Eagles are on equal level playing field. There is no the Eagles are perfect and the Dolphins are not, and there's no Dolphins are perfect because obviously they got their butts handed to them by Buffalo. So this is going to be another test for the Miami Dolphins because the Philadelphia Eagles are obviously a really, really, really good team. Panthers and Giants that they just finished dealing with are not so much very good teams. So I want to go ahead and get your thoughts, your initial thoughts about your Eagles this year, and how do you feel like they match up against Miami right now?
Well, I think overall the main questions for the Eagles was, well, new OC, new DC. How are they going to mesh with this group? How was Jalen Hurts? Was he going to progress? Was he going to have that sophomore slump relapse of after last season having such a spectacular year? Um, I think as an Eagles fan, it's been up and down. Even though it was 5-0 before last Sunday, um, in my opinion, we were winning football games in many different ways. There still hasn't been a game, Lewis, where last season we were up by what 15, 20 plus, and the other team came back and made it close. But for us, all of these games are staying close through the third into the getting into the fourth. So I think in a way it kind of showed us many different ways on how the Eagles can claim victory. But unfortunately, you enter Sunday, and I truly feel like for the first time, besides maybe the first game with Brian Johnson, his play calling to me seemed very inept, seemed very basic. But again, enough of me saying that the Eagles beat themselves. I thought that Robert Saleh knew the weaknesses when Lane Johnson went out. He didn't change his motives. I'm still going to create pressure. I don't really have to blitz. I trust my linebackers to be as fast as ever to make the tackle and not, give, well, besides AJ Brown that went off, you didn't hear Devontae Smith. You didn't hear Dallas Goddard. After Swift scored that touchdown to make it 14-3, you didn't hear from him again. So he was like, F it. If AJ Brown's going to be the only one to beat me, I will live through that. But I'm not going to get away from my defensive pressure. And what, let's be honest, the Jets have been really good this year against quarterbacks when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, obviously. But then, of course, you have Cowboys fans saying, well, we didn't struggle against them. I still feel that the Jets, coming off that first week, the week one win against the Buffalo, they were still trying to find themselves a little bit now without Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, let's be clear here. It's not easy losing your star quarterback. What was it, 4 plays into the first game?
Four
And then
plays,
all
and
of a
that was it.
sudden, yeah, and then all of a sudden you're coming off an emotional win. Um, you know, if I would have wanted 6-0 entering the stretch of now Miami, I believe it's Miami, Washington, Kansas City, Dallas, San Francisco, Buffalo. That, I mean, that right there is as hard as can be. And before the regular season, the Eagles' schedule was the number one hardest one. So now we're entering in 5-1. Half the fan base is getting nervous because, again, we saw Brian Johnson just decide not to run the football, and when he wanted to run the football, it was off of formations that we have never really ran before. And then we saw something that we haven't seen much. Jalen Hurts struggling in the fourth, looked very confused, didn't look like himself. And I started to notice a couple of things. Like, is Jalen okay with this game plan? Does he feel that Coach Johnson is giving him the best capabilities of him being able to perform? Because in the first half, he escaped a lot of pressure, Lewis. He escaped a lot of pressure, converted third downs, having to roll out of the pocket. It wasn't just 3 seconds stop, 3 seconds, just drop and like throw. It was that these play calls, you knew you were without your best right tackle. And yet Salah knew that, and he kept putting Jermaine Johnson on that right tackle backup. And I don't want to say his name because I told myself after Sunday Spears I wasn't going to say his name. Okay, whatever. Jeff Driscoll, whatever his name is.
Jack Driscoll, yes.
Yeah, it's like he knew where the pressure was going to be coming from. The thing that was helping us in the beginning was that the pressure with Jermaine and every other Jets DM from that side was always pressuring inside, giving Jalen Hurts the capabilities of escaping to the outside. That changed after halftime. So now you're making Jalen stay in the pocket more. He's hesitating. He loves to go right. He's not able to go right. Now the passers is coming basically at a wide 9 position. And that's when the turnovers started to happen. The missed throws. You have Devontae Smith dropping passes. Very unorthodox by him. Dallas Goedert, nowhere to be found. Swift. I mean, you started running the ball in the fourth quarter. I really feel like as an Eagle fan base, we wanted these these hardships of miscommunication and being able to learn on the go happen earlier during this 5-game winning streak. But now we don't have time. It's now come at a position where now we got to face one of the best offensive minds, in my opinion, that is Coach McDaniels and this offensive juggernaut that is the Miami Dolphins. Yes, they might not have, what is it, Acme or
Savon Ahmed is, but Savon Ahmed, as long as they have Raheem Mostert, they should be fine at running back.
But that's the thing, though, right? Raheem Mostert to me has been somehow not a wow, but he's been able to stay healthy. First of all, let's be honest, been able to stay healthy, and he's running the football like he's back in San Francisco. Like those are things you have to take account for. Not to mention no Armstead, and yet you guys are doing this. So it's, man, like if we want to get right into the matchup, Jalen Carter didn't play this last game, so he's going to come out fresh. Jordan Davis is absolute monster coming to his zone. Sweat coming to his zone. Hassan Reddick has 5 sacks in the last, I believe, 3 games. They took off the cast. All of a sudden, he remembers how to pass rush. Great. What about our secondary, though? And that's the question that I think is going to come down to. Does Mike McDaniels do exactly what Bill Belichick did week 1? Do exactly what, I'm not going to say Zach Wilson because, in all honesty, he didn't do much in the passing game, in the whole passing game.
Yeah, don't compare to Zach Wilson.
Sam Howell, by the way, right? When you have wide receivers that can create separation, make your defensive coordinator say, hey, we're not going to press. Because if we press and we get beat, we don't have the secondary lineup back there that could keep up. We don't have Charlie Garner-Johnson anymore. Blankenship might not even play. He didn't practice today. That's our main guy safety. Our rookie safety is finally coming back in Sidney Brown, who's missed the last 3 games. But yeah, it's going to be such a tough matchup trying to figure out where Tyreek Hill is, where Jordan Waddle is. And I think, you guys, Lewis, have become such a great pre-snap team of motion when it comes to the wide receivers because Mike McDaniels has figured out, let me get these guys on the run. Let me see if it's man, if it's zone. Let's see pre-snap what's going to go on because the defensive coordinator is going to have absolutely no time to create a switch unless you call a timeout, right? And so to me, it's going to be a game of chess. Is Sean Desai going to fall and say, you know what? I know that Tua's been throwing more consistently over the middle. Am I going to play zone? Am I going to say, F it? If Tyreek and Jalen are going to beat us, make it be a 10-yard game. I'm not going to get beat by 80 yards down the field. But then you're now asking our young secondary that has been basically playing a game of roulette chairs, right? One comes in, one gets hurt, them leaves. Here comes the other one off the bench. He plays three freaking plays, and then he's out for the rest of the game. It's to me, it's going to be a game of chess when it comes to that. And to me, it's going to come down to your offense and my defense. Can the Eagles create enough stops to either give you guys field goals, or can the Dolphins create enough opportunity to put points on the board and let their defense do what they've been doing best? That's get after the quarterback.
Now, see, that's where my biggest concern is right now for Miami. I went on Pulse of Fins Nation the other night, and I went ahead and I just said that I'm the only one of my group who said it. I think the Eagles might actually beat Miami. And the reason why, I think part of it is because the Eagles, obviously, regardless of the struggles that you just broke down for me, Eagles are still a very good football team. Can't take that away from them. Jalen Hurts is still a very good quarterback. You guys do have good weapons. You have A.J. Brown, you have Devonta Smith, and y'all just signed even Julio Jones, even at his age, is still going to – at least he still knows how to play the game. I'm not saying he's
going to be way better, Lewis. I'm telling you this right now. He's going to be way better than any of the slot guys we've had there in the last 3 years. That is saying something. Quez Watkins can't get a first down off a 2-yard completion. And Zacchaeus, the wide receiver that came from Atlanta, catches a couple balls, very inconsistent. So Julio Jones now brings into this opportunity where he doesn't have to play the outside. He can play the slot. And we're not asking Julio Jones to run a 25-yard out. Just do a quick slant. Get us a first down. He's not going to drop the football, unlike these other guys. But I do believe, though, he probably won't play this week. I did hear he's on the practice squad to catch up a little bit. So I can't really see Julio playing in this game unless Quez Watkins didn't practice. So it all depends if Julio catches up to speed with the whole playbook and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. I mean, listen, the signing of Julio kind of tells you where the state of the slot position is. Not to mention, I mean, Lewis, every single day we have Eagles news in the secondary. One guy getting released, placed on waivers, signing another one in. So it's like a game of relay when it comes to those positions.
So, yeah, and you guys did sign Julio Jones to a 1-year deal. So, not practice squad, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't play. Like Chase Claypool, when the Dolphins traded for him from the Bears, I don't expect him to make much of an impact early on. In fact, if he makes any kind of an impact for Miami, it's going to be later down the line after he's already had a chance to at least get acclimated to what the offense would be asking of him. I really think that he's going to, if anything, he'll probably take over like the Eric Ezukanma role where he was actually running the football more than he was actually acting as a wide receiver.
So you think you guys brought him in just in case one of your two guys gets hurt?
I don't know about that.
Because I look at that wide receiver depth, and I give Braxton Berrios amazing credit because he was just killed by Jet fans because they said he couldn't perform, and he's basically doing what he didn't do, 2-3 years in New York, and he's just absolutely killing it down here. But Braxton Berrios is not going to be able to replace a Jalen Waddle, and he's not going to be able to replace a Tyreek Hill.
No.
Claypool, on the other hand, we know his capabilities. Big body, he's able to run down, catch the football with his hands, but he hasn't been able to be doing it at a consistent level long enough. But do you think you guys went ahead and got him just in case because you know where that skill level is set?
I think that Chase Claypool is going to be acting as eventually. I don't even think it's going to be this week. It may not even be next week. I think he's going to eventually act as a new chess piece for Mike McDaniel to play with because as much as we talk about, what happens to Tyreek Hill, what happens to Jalen Waddle, first of all, Tyreek Hill has been an Iron Man for the Dolphins. Like the only thing about him, the only reason he ever leaves a game is because he was literally running too hard and he needs to go into the locker room and get jabbed with an IV just to be able to get himself back into working order. So as for Jalen Waddle, the funny thing is that even when Jalen Waddle's not playing, Tua doesn't seem to lose a step. He really doesn't. He's got Braxton Berrios. He's got Robbie Chosen over there. I do think that it might have something to do with overall depth because right now we don't have River Craycraft. He's going to be out for a bit.
Oh,
Said
okay.
because he hasn't been back, he hasn't been in for a while. Cedric Wilson, that has been sadly a disappointment. I don't know what it was as soon as he left Dallas. And the funny thing is that he was supposed to be our number 2 option overall. Jalen Waddle was supposed to be number 1, and Wilson was going to be number 2. Cedric Wilson overall has just been a disappointment for the Miami Dolphins, in my opinion. There's no space for him. Like, we easily and happily throw Robbie Chosen out there before we throw out Cedric Wilson. And so if that's the case, then I'm looking at Cedric Wilson and saying, okay, man, you're like our last resort. And if something happens to you, if there's ever a point where Miami suddenly finds himself so low in wide receiver depth that we are pulling up Braylon Sanders from the practice squad and we're going to need Chase Claypool, then something needs to have gone horribly, horribly wrong. Because that would mean Tyreek was gone, Jalen Waddle's gone, Braxton Berrios is gone. You should not be going that deep into your bullpen because the Dolphins have talent. It's just a question of how far in do you have to go. If Cedric Wilson is ever needing to get out of a game, I don't lose sleep over it because as long as you have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, Dolphins are fine.
Mm-hmm.
They'll find a way. Durham Smythe is catching football somehow. You have Raheem Mostert, and when he comes back, which is going to be in a few weeks, Devon Achane. I'm trying so hard to get used to it.
Oh, no worries. I'm here just saying his name, and I can't even get him in fantasy. I couldn't even stick his. Yeah.
Devon Achane. I have to remember. It's Devon Achane. So he's catching passes out of the backfield, and you were right about one thing. I do think that this is where the Dolphins have to make their difference, because if it's gonna boil down to Vic Fangio and the defense, it's very bizarre to me how concerned I am with Vic Fangio, because you wanted Vic Fangio. Philadelphia wanted Vic Fangio, and you instead got his protege, Sean Desai. And I feel like now, if the Dolphins ask to make a 1-for-1 swap, you will take Desai and you can have Fangio. I don't know if Eagles fans would actually make that trade right now.
That is a very good question. I'm gonna be honest with you, though. I would rather have the mind of a Vic because of obviously how long he's been in the league and he's seen basically every single type of situation. But I wouldn't give away Sean Desai right now. To me, he's been able to, yes, you have probably the best top 2, top 3 defensive line in football, but you've been able to somehow, some way, be 5-0 with a crap secondary. And yeah, you could throw at me the freaking team opponents, Minnesota, Washington.
But Minnesota's dangerous.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. Justin Jefferson still played. Jordan Addison still played. Listen, but nobody will remember that the Eagles have given up probably the most points, I believe, in the first half. But in the second half, they're mainly locked down. Only gave up 2 touchdowns to the Washington Commanders. I almost said Redskins. But that was because that was towards the end of the game. And then for Minnesota, I think they scored 2 late touchdowns as well. So these points in the second half, they're not coming off the rip in the third, fourth quarter. It's when the Eagles offense starts to get rolling. They get a couple of scores and, they get a couple of touchdowns. So it expands the lead. It makes your defense all of a sudden say, well, I don't have to play pressed, right? I can go and I can do my little thing here and there. Let's make our talent show in order so we don't have to play prevent. But I think Vic is still trying to figure it out, man, because there's one piece, and I know this. When I saw him in Chicago, there's always that one specific player that he always needed, right? Not saying if it's Urlacher or Peanut Tillman or something like that, but to me, Jalen Ramsey, to me, is his chess piece. That's what he's waiting for. Once he gets Jalen Ramsey and X, I'm telling you, if you're still complaining about this defense, and if you want to come at me because I'm wrong, go ahead. But I think Vic is playing right now. He's not going to show his full arsenal. We're not even in the true fall of football season yet, right? So as much as Miami Dolphin fans want to complain about I get it, but not yet. You know what I'm saying? You are now entering a game. You're playing the Philadelphia Eagles this week. You have Kansas City, correct?
Kansas City.
You have yet to play
Philly, New England, and then Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, New England. I think New England, we can all say they're just throwing the white towel. I'm not trying to hate on Matt Jones. Matt Jones Matt Jones is clear. I think me and you had a show in the summer where we listed the AFC East quarterbacks. He was the last one. I had no faith in Matt Jones. Absolutely credit, which still bugs me how he threw for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But I hate that. Listen, Vic is going to be fine. Will he be fine for this game? I don't think so.
Yeah,
that's where me and you are going to kind of agree, because I feel like for the first time, Brian Johnson understands what the mission is. It's to run the damn ball, run the football, Make the Miami Dolphins send an extra man in the box. You are already shorthanded on one side of the field without your best cornerback. Your other cornerback didn't practice today, has a groin injury. We need to exploit that to create the play action, to create the big play. Because it's always been, let's set up the run. I'm sorry, let's set up the pass to set up the run. I don't think this Sunday night is going to be that way. I think wearing the Kelly Greens, knowing how much that means to that city, to our fan base, that's great, mean, no pushover football when you wear those Kelly Greens. And I mean this for a fact, Lewis. I've heard our station in Philly this week, and it's they don't care. They just wanna be able to play 60 minutes. And I know this for a fact. Our offensive line is pissed. That was probably the worst offensive line performance in quite some time that I can remember. And that was without a right tackle. So again, will Vic probably play it by the chest a little bit, see how a couple possessions go. What are the Eagles trying to do? But listen, it's been proven. You can get Jalen Hurts off his game. You can. You got to create the pressure, but you cannot blitz. Can the Miami Dolphins create pressure with a 3-4 man front? I'm not sure if he's still a hybrid 3-4, Lewis, for you guys.
They
Is he
are
like a 4?
so basically what the Dolphins are doing is that they are trying to they'll throw like maybe one extra rusher every once in a while, maybe two every once in a blue moon, but most of the time they are still trying to just rush four. It's Wilkins, it's Sealer, it's Bradley Chubb off the edge, and since Jalen Phillips is still dealing with his oblique injury, they're trying to ease him back in and throw in Andrew Van Ginkel as the last pass rusher, which, by the way, Andrew Van Ginkel is going to make a lot of money for somebody somewhere
By the
after
way,
this season.
listen. I've seen him come off that edge, and he's exactly what I'm sure Dolphin fans were wanting from when they saw him back at Wisconsin. But yeah, so I mean, is to me when it comes to Vic Fangio, you want to bend but not break.
That's his
But,
memo.
but this is when I say that Brian Johnson now can't be playing checkers anymore. He can't be saying, "Well, it's okay, it's the Jets. I'm going to wiggle." No, you can't be doing that because now you don't have no wiggle room for failure or for errors. You're going to go on a hot streak now with all these teams that are top notch in scoring points. Yes, and I'm going to put the Commanders in there because they scored 30 plus against us. You're going to have to start figuring out your true philosophy. And our true philosophy has been running the football. Yes, it's great that A.J. Brown has as many yards and touchdowns and all this other stuff. Listen, he's broken the Philly record for 4 or 5 straight games or something like that. Yet we lost the game. Like that right there is not the standard. For a fact, I know that's not Nick Sirianni's standard. And for a fact, I know that's not the Jalen Hurts we saw in the fourth quarter. And this is what sucks about it. The Jalen Hurts we saw in the fourth quarter, if you would have seen him in the first 3 quarters, you thought he was the best player on that field. And yet the fourth quarter happened and it just collapsed because I feel like Brian Johnson does what a lot of new OCs do. No, I'm going to overthink myself a little bit. Oh, they haven't seen us run the football under center all game. I'm going to do it right before the 2-minute warning. This is the NFL, man. This ain't Mississippi State. This ain't Florida when you had Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and that offense that will score 40-plus points. It's a different breed, man. But again, I think Vic Fangio is going to be fine. He's just waiting to get his another piece, Jalen Ramsey. He did practice today. I saw. Just be patient with him. These coaches are, come on. Lewis, me and you have been watching the game for how many years? Vic is like twice our age, bro. He's seen it all. Like, let's not criticize him. Yes, I know people want to kill him for the Bills game. But, I mean, come on. It's in Buffalo. Josh Allen. I mean, the Dolphins never fell well. And don't tell me they lost by 3 last year. That was last year. So, Vic will be fine. But, no, I don't want Sean Desai going anywhere.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll get into the actual matchup here right now. So as you mentioned, some players didn't practice for you guys. Some players did not practice for us. Xavier Howard, we're recording this, ladies and gentlemen, on Wednesday because Manny has to take a trip. He's going out. He's going to have a nice time. I wish I could go with him because I don't want to work anymore. But in any case, so here's the situation with the Dolphins right now. Tua Tagovailoa, he's being listed as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He is literally, as of today, the favorite to win MVP in the entire NFL. He's at plus 350 last I checked. Patrick Mahomes is in second place at plus 450. So there is a difference there. It's very slight, but Tua is the favorite to win MVP. Tyreek Hill is continuing his record pace of getting up to. It looks like he's on pace to get 2,300 yards, which Stephen A. Smith so readily pointed out to everybody. But I disagree with him on literally every other part of his argument. I talked about that on the last episode of Fins Nation. Y'all should go listen to that as well. With the offense, I'm not necessarily worried about the offense scoring points, but that's where my concern comes in with the Dolphins, is that just like with Buffalo, we were, for a little while, we were keeping pace with Buffalo. We were score for score. Like the Dolphins would, the Bills would score, and then the Dolphins would score. The Bills would score, and then the Dolphins would score. And it was just a question of whoever blinked first was going to be the loser, and it turned out to be Miami. We were the ones who messed up first, and it ended up snowballing from there. So my concern here is that I know that you're saying be patient with Vic Fangio, and I don't want to go out there and say that, oh, Vic Fangio's a bum and he's the game has passed him by. I don't want to disrespect him like that, but he is the expectation was that this was going to be a top 10 defense. And I don't feel like one player, I know you pointed out Jalen Ramsey, and I get it, but I don't feel like one player should be the linchpin between whether a defense is top 10 or mid of the pack or bottom 10. Like one player should not make so much of a difference that without him, everybody else is no longer as good as they used to be. Because when I'll take the offense for the Dolphins, for example. The metrics have been out there many times, and they've been shown on charts and graphs, and I've talked about them on my show. Tua, when Tyreek Hill's on the field, is awesome. Tua, when Tyreek is not on the field, you would think, oh, well, he's not as good, right? No, he is like balls to the walls ballistic when Tyreek somehow is not on that field. Like the graphs show that and I grant you, there's not that many snaps when Tyreek is not out there, but it's not like suddenly the offense becomes a disaster zone whenever Tyreek has to go take an IV break. They still keep chugging along like he was never there, like he was never missing. So when people say that Tyreek Hill is the reason the Dolphins offense is good, no, that's proof positive there. That's not true. But when it comes to the Dolphins defense, if Jalen Ramsey being missing is the only thing stopping this defense from being a top 10 defense, then I feel like there's something wrong with the philosophy, not the players.
How many years has Tyreek Hill been in this offensive system?
This is his second year.
And who has been his OC?
Well, I'm counting as a Mike McDaniel.
Okay, so that's 2 years. How many years has Vic been down here?
I mean, just the one so far. This is his first year.
Okay, so doesn't he have the right? Right? Doesn't he have the right not to experiment, but for him to do what he thinks is best for right now, and to learn about his team as time goes on? Because at some point, I get it. We want to blame the defensive coordinator. We should also be blaming the players. How come they're not performing? Is Vic really not putting his players in the best position to win? I highly doubt that. There's no way he's not.
I will heavily argue that leaving Kader Kohu on an island with Stephon Diggs all game long and giving him absolutely no help the entire way was not putting his player in a position to perform.
Hey, listen, I kind of feel the same way when Sean decided to, give Terry McLaurin, all these guys, a 10-yard freaking cushion every time. But again, there's a reason for this madness. However, though, that is a valid point.
Yeah, what to say? It's like, what method of the madness was that?
Because I would have thought that after the first half, after you saw what occurred, you can make adjustments to that, right?
Nope.
But then okay, so you're gonna bring the safety over, make him double
but they
cover.
didn't.
But then
that's just it. They didn't.
But he probably didn't, because maybe he wanted that player to prove himself a little bit and to realize that, hey, you have an opportunity here.
You can't
can't
afford to do that, man.
You can't respect the mind like that, though. You can't just complain about it because of one game, dude. That's like Patriot fans are complaining about Bill Belichick all of a sudden. The man who won you 6 Super Bowls, and now you're bitching and complaining about it?
Tom Brady won them 6 Super Bowls. Tom Brady won them 6 Super Bowls, not Bill Belichick.
If you want to go that route, I mean, you can't. But I will give you that Buffalo point. I'll give you that. Because during that time, Stephon Diggs was their best offensive player and has been since he's been there, basically. And you did nothing to try to, eliminate that for a fraction. You decided to let it keep going. but I still also feel that he's learning about his players still, man. You can't tell me one less preseason game does hurt these new first year coaches, by the way. Let's be honest here. You think team scrimmages and and things like that make a coach feel more comfortable about his personnel? No, absolutely not. Here I am sounding like a big Fangio sucker now. But no, I'm just saying because I wanted him here in Philly. I don't know. Hey, listen, you say not okay. So one player on offense can create team, but a guy like Jalen Ramsey who's a playmaker who can lock down your best offensive player, who can probably give up a touchdown but come back and freaking tackle a guy for a fumble, pick up and scoop and score, interceptions, things like that. You don't mean to tell me that a player like Jalen Ramsey on the football team doesn't make defenses say, "Damn, Howard there, Jalen Ramsey's definitely over there. We got to flip it." Like that right there. Come on,
No,
man. Like,
obviously that's better. Obviously that's better.
yeah,
But
but
again, he should not be the linchpin
maybe
for the
for this defense,
defense.
Lewis, for this defense, Lewis, maybe it's that, maybe it's not. But we both don't know until Jalen Ramsey hits that football field,
I'll say
right?
this:
We won't know.
if Jalen Ramsey's appearance suddenly makes this defense a top 5 defense, then I'm gonna be like, wow, I guess these other players really weren't as good as we were thinking they were.
Hey, listen, and I'm telling you, you got to give Vic some time, man. We're not even in November yet. He's not gonna give his all full stops right now. Okay, I mean, you got to give it time, man. Wait until you play Kansas City.
Wait,
Wait until you play Kansas City.
okay, well, first we have to get
Notice I did that, right? Wait till you play Kansas
first,
City so that we can beat you on
yeah,
Sunday.
first we have to get past you. So let's go ahead and get into this. So this is what I like to do. You've produced my show many times before. You know what I'd like to do, but I'm calling it something different now. It's gonna be for your Eagles. You're gonna pick your 0, your hero, and then you're going to go ahead and do your score prediction. So I want to hear it from you. For your Eagles, who's your 0, who's your hero, and then what's your score?
Ooh, my 0 is going to be Derek Barnett because that man doesn't know what it is to create pass rush anymore. That man, that man literally is on a 1-year deal, and if you've seen him on tape, Lewis, you probably would have cut him by now. The man is just not worthy of playing football anymore. I am so
What
sorry.
happened to him?
Um,
I was told that he was like
well, he had a knee injury last season, came back. Obviously, this is his final year of his contract or whatnot, and he's just you would think in a line where you have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Hassan Reddick now in company, you think that Derek Barnett's going to be able to get those one-on-one matchups. He just in 5 games or 6 games or whatever it's been, he just looks like an absolute nothing, man. It is sad. Sad. As a hero, I'm gonna go with my quarterback, man. I think Jalen Hurts prides himself and not losing, especially in consecutive weeks. I don't think Jalen Hurts has lost in consecutive weeks since high school. And I truly feel that Jalen Hurts, no matter what he has to do this Sunday, he's going to come out, he's going to be himself again, and he's going to lead the team to victory. The only way the Eagles don't lose is if the defense all of a sudden gives up a 40 burner.
All right.
And we've seen you guys score what, 40 plus, 70? But again, to me, it's hard for me to think that a Super Bowl runner-up team with a quarterback of that caliber now that is Jalen Hurts, back-to-back losses. Does Patrick Mahomes have back-to-back losses? Does Josh Allen have back-to-back losses? Has Tua? Well, I mean Tua now. Like, let's be honest. Unfortunately, Tua had a really complicated relationship with that coaching staff that drafted him, which just sucks, right? Because you would have wanted him to at least go through those growing pains then and become what he is now, but probably last year. But again, you got to give credit to Coach Mike McDaniels. I thought what he's done with Tua, man,
I
is
think the talent was
unbelievable.
always there. It was
It
just a
was
question of
beautiful.
belief.
Coach, well, to me, can you get a coach that could get you in the film room, make you understand why this is like this and why this shouldn't be happening, and how to manufacture that onto the field? I think people got to stop the slander, man. You might not like him. You might think because he's a lefty or that he doesn't have the height, that has to go away. Okay? Everyone thought that Justin Herbert was going to be him this season. Did you see Justin Herbert last week or a couple of days ago on Monday Night Football? Have you seen him in the losses? Oh, well, he threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, in garbage time.
No.
Tua is doing this not in garbage time. He's doing it when the game starts. Yes, there's been picks and things like that. But I'm sorry, like if you were the ones that were bashing on Tua and loving Justin Herbert, you can't be saying that right now. Because Tua right now is playing at such an elite level that I'm telling you, that has to be reckoned with. Okay. When Lamar throws an interception in the fourth quarter, how come nobody's talking about him? But if Tua does it, there has to be the level ground of being able to distinguish when it comes to the position in this league, right? People want to hate on Jalen, because Jalen has the best top five line and he has weapons now. But people seem to forget Jalen Hurts didn't have anybody his first year under Nick Sirianni. Okay, Greg Ward and guys that you can't even pronounce were catching the football. Javonte Smith was our best player on offense, by the way, that year, less than 1,000 yards. Okay, and we still managed to get the final position in the playoffs. That has to be said for something, but nobody wants to recognize that. They not recognize him being like that. But I think it's about time that these Tua haters, man, we gotta start giving to credit when credit is due. Now, if Tua comes up short against Philly, if Tua goes up short against Kansas City, okay, well, we will have that conversation. But we don't know that yet. It hasn't occurred. You got to give Tua his, as I'd like to say, his kudos, right? And you gotta also be like that the same way with Justin Herbert, because remember we've been in this conversation back and forth, Lewis, for so many damn, it feels like 10 years by now. Did the Dolphins pick the right guy? Just should have gone with Justin Herbert or Tua? I'm sorry, man. Justin Herbert, to me, like, we were waiting for this side of Tua. By the way, we were waiting, because if you were a Tua believer, you were going to sit there and wait for him to have the right coach, and he absolutely has that. What is Justin Herbert proving?
I
You
mean,
tell me.
people say Brandon Staley sucks.
Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen, and listen, he's had more weapons than Tua. He's had more weapons since he came in his rookie season than Tua did. Not to mention the Chargers have drafted first round picks for their offensive line. Have the Dolphins done that? No. But so why change the narrative? Why?
Because
It's just, to me, it's absolutely ridiculous. Why? Because he plays for Miami. The same thing with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts gets a lot of scrutiny. Why? Because he plays in Philly. You know what I mean? Like now it's like now everybody is loving C.J. Stroud's non-pick consecutive game streak. But when Jalen did it as a rookie year, you never heard one thing about it. Why? Because he's in Philly. You know what I mean? So it's like this league has its tendencies of national media. They pick and choose, and like everybody talked about Zach Wilson and how he didn't do much in the game, but he still won. But yet Tua is always, unfortunately, in these four little damn networks, Lewis, always the fourth, fifth topic. When in my opinion, Tua should always be at least top two, because what that guy is doing after all the scrutiny he received, he's coming out and saying, "Hey, I can do this. I don't need to have all these guys." And yeah, now you have Tyreek Hill, but it's still like, oh, he can't throw a deep pass. That narrative has to change, man. That is getting old. And I'm sorry I went on a rant. I just feel like if I didn't have Jalen Hurts, I would want Tua, because Tua has shown to me like I am that guy. You get me the right personnel and the right people around me, I would definitely take us to an elite level. So to me, he's always been ahead of Justin Herbert. We've all been waiting for him to have the right mesh of people around him. And Coach McDaniels is exactly that. Justin Herbert, man, I'm sorry. It's just there's too much questions. You've had weapons before, you haven't performed. You made the playoffs, what is it, 1 or 2 years in a row. You give up leads. Like, no, man, I'm good with that.
all right. So what? I never got your score though.
To be honest, man, we can go either way with this. I'm gonna be honest. I was, the last time we faced each other was here in Miami. I was there,
But that was
Carson
preseason.
Wentz. Well, I'm talking about regular
Okay.
season. Carson Wentz looked like crap, and we lost the game. And then the other game, I believe it was with Chip. You guys ended up beating us by 1. I think it was 2019, whatever. If we weren't wearing the Kelly Greens, Lewis, I'd pick you guys. But I feel like that's going to change the notch a little bit. However, though, I do see the game close. I see it so close. I see it as like 41-38. That's how close I see it. Because I think in the beginning of the first quarter, it's not going to be much scoring. I think both coaches are going to feel each other back and forth. And at some point, the quarterbacks are going to explode. Tua's going to hit a deep pass. Jalen Hurts is going to go on a 20-play, 80-yard drive to score. And it's going to go back and forth, man. Again, I'm going to pick Philly to win by 3, but I could say the Dolphins win by 7, right? So it's tough for me. I hate giving these score predictions because I don't know how the injury report is going to be on Friday. I don't know. Is X playing? Devontae Smith didn't practice today with a hamstring. That's a huge loss, right? And if X doesn't play, that kind of crosses that out, a little bit. Lane Johnson is going to give it a go. He still has that high ankle sprain or whatever type of ankle sprain, that it is. But man, this I hate doing this. I don't know why you do this to me. But I'm going to pick Philly to win 41-38, but it would not surprise me at all if Miami wins.
I mean, it wouldn't.
And I think Jalen and Tua combined for at least 800, 900 plus yards, maybe combined, maybe 7, 8 touchdowns. Like to me, this game, not that it's gonna be close to that Rams Chiefs Monday Nighter game. Remember that game a couple of years ago on Monday night that was back and forth, Patrick Mahomes and like golf going back and forth. But to me, it's gonna be a high scoring game. So.
Well, if that's the case, then listen, everybody pick your overs on PrizePicks because that's a lot of yards that are going to be going back and forth.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
All right. So now for me, my 0 on the Dolphins side, I believe the last thing that I did, I actually ended up picking. I recall, if I recall who I picked during Pulse, I think it was Braxton Berrios. I just don't think that he's doing a whole lot for Miami. And if I'm wrong and I pick someone else, I'm changing it to Braxton Berrios now. So there, Braxton Berrios. It's not that I don't think he's good. It's just that he's not being as much of a factor in the actual passing game as I'd like him. He can block. That helps a lot. He's willing to block. Anybody who's willing to block makes this offense go, because the way that these blocking schemes with the Miami Dolphins, it's so crucial to how everything works. Durham Smythe coming around in motion and literally he's not running around. He's getting ready to block the guy who's about to get in Raheem Mostert's way. So that's how that whole thing is working out. That is phenomenal, to be honest, how they do that. So if Braxton Berrios is willing to block, then yeah, I'll give him that. But as far as actually being a weapon, he's my 0. As far as my hero, it's going to continue to be Raheem Mostert until further notice. I really do feel that way, because the fact that the Dolphins can run the football and the fact that they're not just running the football, they're running it effectively. It's what opens up the rest of the offense. Yeah, Tua can throw the ball all he wants, but if they become so one-dimensional that everybody knows Tua is going to throw it, and not only that, he knows where he's going to throw it, then that becomes a problem. And if you can't mix it up and you can't run the football, then all of a sudden the Dolphins offense becomes much, much easier to stop. So Raheem Mostert, but I think he's going to continue to be my hero. I don't know if he goes for 100 yards in this game, but he'll definitely get close, and he will score at least 1 touchdown. Raheem Mostert has been phenomenal. He has already, like you said, he was running like he was back in San Francisco. He has already long eclipsed anything he did in San Francisco. Through 6 games, he has already done way more than he ever did in San Fran. So
he hasn't played this Eagles defensive line that gives up the less yards.
Okay, well,
with Jalen Carter coming back without playing last week.
Okay, but you asked, like I'm just saying.
It's gonna be a fun game.
I'm just saying.
It's
not one game, but it's not one game. Mostert has been ballistic all year.
Listen. It sucks for me, right? Because you're my guy. Ron's my guy. Dono. I mean, the list goes on and on from this network who are diehard Dolphin fans. I hate going up against you guys. I just hate this. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Because it's like I wish we could substitute our game and just play, I don't know, like another team in the damn division again or something. This is,
should have chosen another weekend to go on your trip, bro. We could have watched it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, because we're all going to be, all happy for Heat season, but yet after Sunday, we might not talk to each other forever. So it's one of those aspects.
Maybe we'll have you on I'll try to get you on the Pulse, and we can all just kind of like, so how are we feeling?
If we lose, don't even text me for Tuesday. There's no way I'm showing up for Tuesday. Heck no. Listen, I get killed enough already in these Dolphin spaces on Twitter. I'm good. There's no way I want to join that.
All right. Well, hey, we're buddies, man. I'm not going to be too mean to you. I'm not going to be too mean to you.
Lewis, me and you can talk ball. Me and you can sit there and talk analytics, talk stats. Just some of these people in these fan bases, man. What have you won? We have 5 Super Bowls. You have 1. I'm like, dude, the last time you guys won a Super Bowl, you weren't even born. I got to win this one at least.
Yeah.
Like what? And you know what fan base I'm actually talking about?
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, like they won back in 97, 98. Like, what do you remember? Like, do you know who Larry Brown is? No. Oh, you see? Okay, there you go. Just move on. One of those
I hear
things.
you. All right. Ultimately, my pick. I'm gonna stick with what I said on Pulse. Something about you guys. You guys are pissed off the fact that you lost to the Jets, regardless of how it happened. You still lost to the Jets. You guys are probably furious. You're wearing your special colors. So I ultimately picked the Eagles to win this one, 41-35. I think that
Oh, we were close.
yeah,
We
we
were
were close.
close.
I think that I
Okay.
think the Eagles they pull it off at home, and you guys are going to be electrified because those special uniforms do something to fan bases. I'm telling you, and so
Mhm. By the way, you guys need to be able to wear those more too, man.
I talk to Tom Garfinkel, not me.
So, but are you guys wearing them at all this year?
I think at some point we're going to have to. I just don't know when it's going to happen.
And those have to be permanent. I'm
I know.
sorry.
Again, talk to Tom Garfinkel, not me.
Yeah, but Tom never responds to me either way. I'm not even a Dolphins fan. I'm like, dude, come on. Can we stick to something that doesn't need to be changed? Can we do that? Like, for example, the Eagles changed their whole font of their logo for the end zones and stuff. And I'm thinking, so why? Like, what if it ain't broke? Don't fix it. Like, why do we got to do this?
Well, that
You know why? Because you want to sell extra merch with the new logo. I mean, I get it. It's for promotion. It's for these other things. But man, like some of these iconic logos, man, need to come back. Need to come back and stay put, man. This whole thing of trying to change, like the Houston Texans are now changing their whole thing now. I think next season to how the Oilers looked back in the day, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, that makes okay sense, right? But some of these new things, like the Falcons getting an angrier gray on their face mask, and I'm trying to think of another team. Okay, the Bengals one looks nice, the white on white.
no, the
But
white
when it
tiger I
comes to
like.
yeah, well, the white tiger's nice, but I feel like the Eagles and Dolphins, man, they should be able to have these old prestigious logos in for more than just a couple of games, man. It just feels like it just brings back such nostalgia and such excitement, man. Like it's just yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like for like in Philly right now, they're talking about this game because it's the first time in Kelly Green since probably 2011, if I remember correctly. So that's how excited they were. And I know when you guys wear your old logos and stuff, it looks nice, man. It's just I don't know these people, I think they overdo their promotions and stuff, but we all know it's a money catch grab league. So
All right. Yeah, I feel like we're getting into a deeper conversation of corporate
yeah, we are.
shysting at this point. So we're gonna go ahead and call it here. Everybody, thank you all so much for listening. Manny, just the other week I was doing a behind the enemy lines with Buffalo Bills man Rock Pile report. I told him that he
Mm.
was actually the longest episode that I've ever done behind enemy lines. You just beat him. You just beat him, man.
Nice. That means that we're gonna win the Super
Oh
Bowl.
boy. Or are we gonna we're
Lewis,
gonna win the Super
thank
Bowl.
you, Lewis. Thank you so much for always inviting me, man. It's always a pleasure talking ball with you, man. And listen, I've always said this when it comes to you, Ron, and Donald, man. Like, I hope one day you guys get to experience what I experienced back in 2017, man. I truly I think the diehards of this fan base have been waiting for so long that I just hope that one day you guys get to experience that, man. Because when you get to experience things like that, no matter what happens for the rest of your life, when it with you as a sports fan, that will never leave. Right? You were there, you waited, you witnessed it, you felt it, you cherished it, you saw it. Like those are things as a sports fan. That's what it's all about, right? So I hope that one day you guys can get to experience that for sure.
I appreciate that, man. I do. And if it happens to be Dolphins versus Eagles in the Super Bowl.
I'm not talking to you. Don't even message me to come on no damn show. Listen, I've been through two Super Bowl losses already. I cannot handle three. I cannot handle three. Freaking Deion Branch took my heart, and then Patrick Mahomes on one leg. When you texted me at halftime, yo, you're so lucky. Patrick's now hurt now. How does it feel to win your second? I'm like, bro, the game's not even over yet.
I,
And look what happens, bro. You remember when you texted me at halftime, bro? How does it feel? I'm like, dude, relax. We haven't won the game yet. Yeah, thank you, Lewis. All right, I'm
all
out.
right.
I appreciate
All
you.
right. Fins Nation, prizepicks.com, promo code 5. Everybody go on there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Pre-game and everything happening. All right.